Have you ever wondered if now is the right time to buy your first EV? Well, I ask because many comments I've received state they're waiting for something to happen before they do go out and buy their first EV. Yet others report they have switched already to EVs and would never look back. This is Dave Takes It On. I'm Dave. I'm looking to the top 5 reasons why viewers should at least have a good look at the very latest EVs, because what you think you know may be hopelessly out of date. And I've added a further bonus one right at the end. It's my favourite because I've got no idea where or whether it should appear in the list. Have a guess and hit that subscribe button before you do. Now, I do need to quickly separate the time to switch with the decision what to switch to. If you've got a lease that's coming to an end and you have to hand the car back, or if your car just dies and is uneconomical to repair, or maybe the value of what you're driving is dropping and you want to sell it before its value totally disappears. Whatever that reason, you have to buy something. That's called timing. Whatever the timing, these are the top 5 reasons why people right now should absolutely consider an EV for their next car. Number 5, battery fire risk and lifespan. Now, any car has a lifespan and one day it will head to the scrapyard. Car ownership is a lot like pass the parcel. You do not want to be the owner when the music stops and you have no option but to scrap the car. So potential buyers should catch up to date on what is happening in the battery world because it is simply fantastic. Back in the good old days, EV manufacturers just bought whatever batteries were available at the time, and those batteries were intended for laptops, power tools and mobility scooters. They were not ideal in any way, but they worked. But over the last 10 years, when it was clear EVs were here to stay, particularly in the last 5 years, the advances have been simply staggering. And then China helped that on top when they passed a law stating all batteries must be fire resistant and incapable of bursting into flame. But the biggest change is that now batteries are specifically designed for use in EVs, and besides being very much safer, use very different chemistry. EV manufacturers originally estimated that the battery pack should last the life of the car, and they estimated that to be about 15 years or somewhere around 200,000 miles. And they believe, therefore, that the battery pack should be protected by an 8-year or 100,000 mile warranty. Well, this year's batteries in 2026 are claiming 1, 2 or even 3 million mile lifespan. And some are now looking at a battery warranty that will last the entire lifetime of the EV. That will fail first. They will not only outlast the car, but will go on to live a good, healthy, profitable life in a secondary or tertiary role, probably in static storage. It is unusual for any car to exceed 500,000 miles and positively rare to reach 1 million. Today's batteries are a league ahead of anything you could ever wish for in your EV battery, however badly you treat it. So any worries about you having to replace your battery while you own the EV is now less likely than having to replace your house. But those advances go far, far further than just lasting longer. Number 4, charging speed and 10C batteries. Now again, looking back to the original laptop and mobility scooter batteries, these were never intended to be charged at an ultra-rapid charger, 350 kilowatts and above. They were strictly for plugging into a 3-pin 13-amp socket, preferably overnight. So the EV manufacturers had to come up very quickly with workarounds when installed into EVs to prevent them from bursting into horrendous fireballs if you zap them with 300 kilowatts instead of 3. Now, most succeeded, sadly some did not. But now with chemistry specifically designed for EVs and their ultra-rapid charging on road trips, those days are long gone. The new LFP, sodium-ion and soon-to-arrive solid-state batteries are designed precisely for ultra-rapid chargers. In fact, some now say they need faster chargers. 400 kilowatts is now considered to be the bare minimum, and 1,200 kilowatt chargers are already being installed in China. There, they talk about 4C, 6C, or even 10C. That's where C is the number of charges they can handle safely in an hour. So a 6C battery can be fully charged 6 times in an hour, or once in every 10 minutes. A 10C battery can be fully charged once in 6 minutes. And so we now have the ideal situation where the very latest EVs can charge faster than you can fill your petrol car anyhow. Picture the scene. You're on a road trip, you stop at a motorway services for a comfort break. You pull in, plug in, then you head off to the services, the toilets, you grab a coffee, and then you head back to your EV, and you find the battery's already full once again. You can just set off. Unlike the poor petrol car driver who also stops, visits the services, toilets, grabs a coffee, heads back to the car, but then needs to drive over to the petrol station, spend several minutes filling the tank, standing there holding the nozzle, before heading in to join the queue to pay. EV charging this year is already quicker than that. Sadly, many, if not most EV drivers will never experience this fantastic speed because the majority never actually use public chargers at all, thanks to the next big change. Oh, and talking of change, if you do watch regularly and haven't subscribed yet, please do so now. Number 3, increased range. Now, once again, looking back, the early pioneers had EVs with very small batteries, 20 or 30 kilowatt hours, slow maximum charging rate, maybe 40 kilowatts, if you could find a rapid charger. And that meant you might get 70 or 80 mile range on a good day, going downhill and in the summer, and it would take an hour to recharge. Forget road trips in the winter. Let's have a look now. The average battery size, even for the budget EVs, has leapt up to around 50 kilowatt hours, while long-range versions have 75 to 100 kilowatt hours. At exactly the same time, the efficiency of EVs has improved dramatically. No more 2 or 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Now most will reach 4 miles per kilowatt hour easily, and some are nudging on 5 miles. And that gives these larger EVs range of over 500 miles on paper, WLTP, but certainly over 400 miles in the real world. 400 miles is non-stop London to Edinburgh or London to Penzance. Yeah, non-stop. So if you're worried about public charging on the road, just get an EV with 400 mile range. Don't bother ever stopping out on the road. In 2026, that range is set to increase still further, and by the end of the year should be regularly nudging on 500 miles. Now, before you ask, 1,000 mile range is perfectly possible in 2026. I suspect we will see some, but we're unlikely to see these in any number in the mainstream for many years yet to come. And that is for exactly the same reason we never got petrol-powered cars with massive fuel tanks doing 1,000 miles on a tank full. We just don't need it. And having it acts against everything: efficiency, practicality. EVs would be far heavier, affecting handling and performance and efficiency. The cabin space would be seriously reduced and the price would be prohibitive. Instead, now we've got 10 minutes or less full charging, about the same as filling the petrol tank. We'll just end up doing exactly what we've always done. Fill up before you set off, drive until low, then fill up in a few minutes. With one exception. So if you can charge at home, then fill up out on the road, only ever just enough to get you home, where the price of electricity to recharge the battery is so much lower. EV sat-navs already offer this facility, where it will tell you when you have enough charge, state of charge, to reach home. Number 2, massive choice of proper EVs. Choice is king. Again, looking back, legacy car makers, VW, Peugeot, Ford, BMW and the like, really didn't think EVs would catch on. So they made only a half-hearted effort in the EVs that they made. They tended to use the same body, chassis and interior as the petrol and diesel versions, just taking the engines out, fuel tank out, gearbox out, and stuffing them with a massive big battery wherever they could fit it in, huge in size to get any sort of range at all, carting around all that weight. Well, Tesla was the first to seriously purpose design the EV to be as light and strong as humanly possible. They invented the gigacasting and the structural battery pack. Well, this is where there's no single solid steel structural chassis anymore, onto which you bolt everything else, the battery, the motor, the suspension. The battery pack today is made as a single integral structural item, saving a huge amount of weight, and the front and rear subframes, remember the old Mini where subframes used to rust and they could be replaced? Well, these are now cast in single pieces using a special lightweight but incredibly strong aluminium alloy and simply bolted onto the battery pack. They are purpose-built for weight saving and efficiency, but also are now filled with the very latest computer technology. Have a quick look at your phone. It's probably only a year or so old, and it's nothing like the model it replaced, let alone one from 10 years ago. 2026 EVs are basically advanced computers on wheels. Now, remember when you got in your car and your phone could connect to your stereo for hands-free? Yeah. Well, today your EV computer is your phone and a computer, and it operates the same Siri or Alexa to give you continuous connection to your social media, your house, your banking, your emails, whether you're in your car, at home, or at the seaside. And the safety is absolutely second to none. The same computer will monitor every single second of your driving, looking for anything that might offer a danger and correct it before you even know it was needed. All while you are sitting back in your luxurious armchair in the centre of a sound system that is normally far superior to what you have at home. And that can be fully enjoyed because today's EVs are super silent already, and they have double glazing as standard. Some even employ noise cancelling technology. Well, the main reason for this is that the Chinese started down the EV trail over 25 years ago, as did Tesla. That was long before us in the West. And while the early attempts in China might have been disregarded as cheap copycat tat, they are today a decade ahead of the rest of the legacy auto industry in all things EV, including quality control. Why do you think the Chinese allowed joint partnerships in China with the likes of VW, BMW, Mercedes and Audi, amongst others? They all thought they were getting access to the world's largest car market, but the Chinese were actually getting full access and training in how to style for the Western market and then how to make and assemble those cars. Into that, they installed the very latest computers and software. Today, premium EVs coming out of China put our traditional premium models to shame. Well, just before we move on to number one, please have a look at joining the growing number of members of the channel through Patreon or YouTube. It is time-consuming and expensive to create this sort of video involving time-consuming research, and members contribute just a few pounds a month towards our cost. There's even a discount for anyone choosing the annual option. Well, that's actually less for a whole month of daily videos than even a single large McAfee coffee. I know. Now, I'm going to continue making these in-depth videos. You get at least one video a day as a member to keep you up to date. Plus you get various bonuses like member-only videos that never get released on YouTube. Bloopers, don't always get it right first time. And also the chance to meet me face-to-face at one of our monthly member meetups where you can tell me why I'm wrong. So that leads to number one reason why you should look at EVs. Price. China took EVs seriously from day one back in 2000. They had full government support, financing, subsidies, tax breaks to go all in on EVs, and they quickly built up a massive industry that made our mass production look positively dated. The latest factories are now called dark factories, as they no longer need heating or lighting because they employ virtually no humans in the production line. It's all robotics. And that means incredibly cheap labour production costs. Add in that the factories were subsidised by the government, so were cheap, and the suppliers, like battery manufacturers, also in China, are equally cheap. Now, we today in the UK get all the advantages and only one real disadvantage. Our own mass-produced car industry is suffering, but it is fighting back. It's having to respond. At last, legacy auto like Renault, Hyundai, Nissan, BMW, they're now making competitive EVs. But legacy is also suffering as petrol sales decline. Many are fighting back by specialising, with companies like Jaguar, Aston Martin, McLaren, trading on their heritage in a premium class all of their own. We, the buying public, get absolutely cracking EVs at a whole range of prices, right down to silly low ones. And those are made even sillier because the government is funding and subsidising the massive rollout of EV charging infrastructure, and now gives us direct grants of up to £3,750 towards the purchase price of the new EVs. Yes, I'm fully aware that if you choose Chinese, then no Chinese companies have yet been approved for the grant, but that's only a matter of time. Several actually do qualify and are in the middle of their applications, but in the meantime, they've just launched their own, exactly the same value subsidy. So we gain either way. Well, there you have it. 5 spot-on reasons why you must at least have a look at EVs when you next decide the time is right to change your car. Now, the last bonus reason answers the biggest sticking point for many people. It's really inertia or fear of change. See, to them, EVs are the unknown, the future, and they know so little about them, they frighten them. But let me finish on a true story. See, I've driven petrol or diesel cars for over 50 years. And until 10 years ago, I was a manual gearbox driver, proper driving. I did have a dabble with automatics in the 80s when I was working in the motor trade, but I found them clunky, noisy, harsh. They were never quite in the right gear at the right time, jerky. And then on top of all that, they were more expensive than a proper gearbox. Well, that was until my car was written off while it was parked outside my house. I was inside. And the insurance company provided me with Hyundai i30 semi-automatic, petrol. Now, this could be driven as a manual via the paddles attached to the steering wheel, just without a clutch, or it could be put into full automatic. I defaulted naturally to manual gear changes until one day, in really heavy traffic, I got fed up with the constant dozens of changes, maybe hundreds, gear changes, and I just selected full auto. I was instantly converted right on the spot, and I've never driven anything since, but automatics or EVs. By the way, EVs are not strictly automatics because an automatic gearbox changes gear for you, while an EV actually only has a single gear, apart from one make, which never needs to change. It just drives like an automatic, and it will even creep forward at junctions if you like that. Don't let your past experiences and knowledge and familiarity shape your future. The past should belong in the past. The future should look like the future. And the internet is now awash with a new inertia slayer, FOMO, which is fear of missing out. And anyone who buys a new or used ICE car without at least considering a full EV is definitely missing out. I'm Dave.